You're 10 years old, raised by a single mom. You're angry with the world, so you take it out on everyone. Everyone. One day you find yourself behind bars. Thing is, you're still a child. How could this happen? What is it like for a child who's been behind bars? Grab your pen and paper, listen up for a real-life story of trial and triumph.
Dude, I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Hello and welcome to the Clarion Call Show. I'm Janice Hatcher-Liggins, your host. What is it like being detained as a child? What could possibly be so wrong? Joining us today is a gentleman who has experienced prison. He has learned a great deal about what it's like being there, and he's learned even more about how to survive afterwards. Here to share his incredible journey of trial and triumph is Mr. Robert Price. Robert, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We've had a little bit of time to talk about your journey and your story.
Yes.
And I want to go a little bit deeper into it and tell us a little bit, where are you from, where were you raised, and what was family like?
I was born in Washington, D.C. I never knew my father. My mother, it was me, my mother, and my sister. And we moved around a lot, you know. If you lived in D.C., you eventually going to live all over the place because it's that small. But my mother, she worked 2 jobs, you know. I very hardly saw her. In the morning when I wake up, she was gone. When I went to sleep, she wasn't there, but she worked as much as she can, God rest her soul. And but I wanted more, you know, I wanted more for her. So I stayed in the streets a lot, you know. The streets was my father. You know, I learned.
The streets were your father?
My mom, yes.
Wow. Okay.
I learned everything that I learned from the streets, from being in the streets. I used to pickpocket, I used to steal. And
how old were you then?
About 7 or 8.
Are you serious?
Not about 7 or 8. And I think the first time I did any time when I was 9 years old. I got arrested for shoplifting, and I went down Cedar Knoll, juvenile facility.
Wow.
I was down there for about 6 months.
What was that like?
I'm scared. I'm not going. I'm scared.
You're trying to be tough. But
yeah. You know, you try to be tough.
Yeah.
But I was scared. I went down. I was in a new place. I think the first night, it's hard to think about. I think I hollered for my mama. I called for my mama. But a guy down in the next cell said, "You know, since I'm hollering for your mama now, you ain't at home now." So I got acclimated into that type of life and in the jails and how people treat you. And I was young. I was young and reckless and wild. I was.
So you were there, though, for 9 months, you said?
6 months.
6 months.
Yes.
What did you learn from being there?
Really not much. You know, like I said, I didn't know my father, so all the men down there, they only enforce what I felt about men, you know. Always wanted to put their hands on you, want to tell you what to do and when not to do. So I didn't learn much. I just wanted to do what I can before I can get out.
So you're saying being there really reinforced the lessons you had already learned on the street?
Yes. I didn't learn anything. They didn't make me go to school.
At 9?
No, they didn't make me go to school or nothing. They just had a bed for you to you eat 3 times a day, go back to your barracks, or you have playtime, as they consider rec time, and you back in your bunk.
Okay, so at the end of that 6 months, you came home.
I came home.
How did your mom react first, but with you going in?
Mom, she cried. She came to see me and she cried. I never wanted to, I'm sorry. Every time I talk about my mom, I get a little teary-eyed, but I loved her so, and I thank her now for everything that she tried to do for me. But I was looking for, I think I was just looking for more. I was looking for that man present, and he wasn't there. So I hung out in the streets. When I got released, I came and kissed her, called her, and told her I was home, and I was back out there. I went running, finding my dudes I came up with. And as time went on, and I started meeting other people, I got implemented into drugs. I started using drugs. I started using drugs at about 12 years old, smoking weed, dropping acid.
Wow.
And I learned how to use my hands, And
Meaning?
I learned how to fight. I could fight very well. And guy saw me hit this guy, and I knocked him out. And he said, "Man, we can use a guy like you uptown, watching our runners."
How old were you then?
I was about 14.
Wow.
And I said, "Runners." I didn't know what that meant. That means guys that were selling their drugs. All I had to do was watch them, make sure nobody bothered them. So I found myself up 14th and U, 14th and Belmont, Chaplin, F Street, as a lieutenant. And my job was to make sure nobody messed with the guys that were selling our drugs. And if they did, I would step in and take care of them. Or if any of our runners leave the scene, I would take care of them, make examples out of them.
Make example meaning?
Enforce them, break something.
Wow.
I had a Louisville Slugger that I kept. And I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me because I knew what I was doing, but I was just out of control. I didn't respect anything. Only one I respected on this planet was my mother. And she tried to do as much as she can, but about that time when I got uptown, I was making $1,000 a week, more money than she made in a month. So I would come and I'd give her money. She didn't want the money. She said, "I think it's time for you to leave my house. If you're gonna be doing something like that, I think it's time for you to leave my house." So it was time for me to leave at 15.
How did you feel about her taking that position, not wanting that money?
I understood why today.
Yeah.
I didn't understood it then.
Okay.
I thought, you working too, you're always tired. You're always saying that you're always tired and stuff. I'm giving you money, you don't want the money. At that age, I didn't understand. Now I do. Now I truly do.
And you ended up going to Oak Hill.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you went to Oak Hill?
I was 16.
Wow.
I was 16. I went there for 2 years. I was there for 2 Christmas. I remember
That's
that.
how you can remember it.
Yeah, I was there for 2 Christmas.
What was the charge?
The charge was the distribution. selling narcotics. Rough
Oak Hill
2
was
years.
rough?
Yeah, rough. You had to fight. You had to fight. You know, if you part of Southeast had a crew, Northeast had a crew, Southwest, Northwest, all of them had crews down there. And then you had a few people from Baltimore or from Maryland there. So everybody was locked in on the crew, you know. But I could fight good. So I was always, I think all through my life I was a leader. I didn't never follow nobody. I was always a leader. But I was leading the wrong way. You know, but I didn't know that at the time. But I went there. I was supposed to be there 18 months. I ended up doing more than that. I know it was 2 Christmas because my mother's birthday is on the 24th.
Oh.
And I always do something for her on Mother's Day. And I was so hurt that I couldn't do nothing for her because I wasn't there. And when I came out of there, I went right back to doing what I was doing. I wasn't at home, so I went right back uptown.
When you came out of Oak Hill,
Yeah.
where did you go? If you couldn't go back home, where did you go?
I went up there and stayed with a guy that was my handler. We call him handlers. He's somebody that I answer to, that I bring all the money to after the day. And I went to live with him. He gave me an apartment to stay in, and I stayed there. I would leave from the apartment, walk down the street, watch the runners, collect the money, and come back up. But at this particular time, one time I came down and I collect the money, and soon I collect the money, police came from everywhere. And I got locked up for distribution of heroin. But I got out the same day. I got a bondsman. They got me out. They don't let you stay in jail too long.
Your crew?
My handler.
Your handler?
Yeah,
Oh.
he don't let you stay in jail too long.
Wow.
They get you out. So I got out that same day. So I had a charge pending, distribution. Then a month later, I was in a liquor store, and FBI came in there and threw me against the bar and say they had a warrant for my arrest. So, but this time they took me over to federal court, and I was in federal court, and they said I was there for conspiracy for a drug enterprise. Okay, day later I'm out again.
Wow.
All right. So we trying to tighten up everything uptown, but I'm laying in my bed one night with a young lady, and my sister called, said her boyfriend had beat up. So I reached up under the bed, grabbed my gun, and I'm gone. I get over there, she bleeding, shirt tore down, and I say, where you at? And I don't think, I'm not thinking, all I'm doing is reacting. As a young, I'm reacting. So she pointed to him, and I ran at him, and I took out my gun, and I started firing. Didn't care about who I was firing or who might have been out there. I just emptied my gun. I hit him twice. Hit him in the back and in the buttocks.
Wow.
And I told her to go back in the house, and I went home. 4 hours later, police were knocking on my door.
Wow.
Saying my sister said that, and I shot the guy.
So I'm glad we're at this point. We're going to put a pin in it right there, and we're going to come right back to it, okay? So how do you rebound after living through such trials and challenges? More to come. Stay with us.
It's 3 p.m. For 50 million kids across America, school's out. And for a third of these kids, they're out on their own. Out with nowhere to go and nothing to do. But every afternoon is a chance to change America's future. All you have to do is open the door. It's time to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
welcome back. We continue our conversation with Mr. Robert Price on what it's like to leave the prison system and return to the community. So, Robert, you were telling me that you had just pulled out your weapon to go help your sister, and you'd shot a guy.
Yes.
Went back home, and the police knocked on your door.
Yes.
Then what happened?
Well, like police do when they come in, they ransack the place through me, and then they told me that my sister said that boyfriend had jumped on her. I came over there, and that I shot her. Okay, so they locked me up, and next day I was in court, and the judge held me without bond because of my previous two charges. So after 6 months, I told my lawyer, see if you can get everything consolidated. Came back to court.
What does that mean?
Get all the charges consolidated.
How many different charges did they have?
3.
Okay.
3. But since one of them was assault with intent to kill while armed and wasn't drug related, they couldn't do it.
Oh.
So I came in the courtroom, and my sister was crying. I'm asking her, why are you crying? They said they're going to sentence me. They're going to do this and do that to me. So I said, hold on, wait a minute. I told my lawyer, I say, look, do whatever you can to do. Get her off. I'll take the weight. Because I did it, I'll take the weight. So they cut her loose, and they let me plead guilty to assault with intent to kill while armed. All right. And here's the tricky part. So after a month go by, they bring me in on a distribution charge. They found me guilty. They give me 5 to 15 years. As soon as they give me 5 to 15 years, the marshals take me out of that courtroom, take me across the street to the federal courtroom, and found me guilty of conspiracy. But the judge, I'm telling the judge, they just found me guilty over here, and y'all bringing me over here. So he didn't like that. So he took the 5 years and ran it in with the 5 to 15. Mm-hmm. So I still got 5 to 15, but I got two separate convictions. Six weeks later, they brought me back to federal court.
Are you in jail all this time?
I'm in jail.
Okay.
I never get out.
Okay.
So they bring me back later and charged me, gave me 18 months to 6 years for the assault with intent to kill, and ran it wild. That means they took the 6 years and put it on the back of the 15, gave me 21, and put the rest up front, made it 7. So I had 7.
You're gonna have to do that again for me. I'm sorry. Explain it again for me. I'm slow.
I already had 5 to 15.
Right.
So they gave me 6.5. Wait a minute, let me get it right. They gave me 18 months to 6 years on assault with intent to kill. But he took the 6 years, put it on the back of the 15, which made it 21.
Sure.
And he took the 18 months and put it on the front of 5 years, which made it 7.
Okay.
So I had 7 to 21 years.
Okay.
So they take me down, send me straight to Petersburg, send me straight to the federal system. Now the federal system is not like the superior, like Lawton. 2 different types of scales. They don't look at no front number. So when I came when I got to Petersburg, all I had was 21 years.
Oh, so instead of 7, like for good behavior or whatever, they just throw that away?
Yeah. If I'd have stayed down Lawton, I'd have been eligible for parole in 7 years. But since I'm in a federal institution, I don't have no front number. All I have is 21 years. So my head is exploding. I'm angry at the world. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at everybody. So my first 5 years was rough in the federal system. I think in that 5 years, I must have went to about 8 different institutions.
Why?
Because I was out of control. I was mad at the world. If anybody looked at me wrong, I would take something and I'd try to split their head open.
My goodness.
And I was just out of control. So they shipped me. I've been to Lewisburg, Terre Haute, Leavenworth, Oxford, Wisconsin, Duluth, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Los Angeles.
So the movement was basically because of your...
Out of controlness. And it boiled off to a point. I was in Oklahoma State Facility, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I started collecting pills. And I went in the stall, and I just sit there and I took all the pills. I wanted to the end. And a guy that I knew came looking for me and found me, and they pumped my stomach. So it wasn't my time to go.
Amen.
Yeah. But after that, they sent me down to Terre Haute, Indiana. And they told me that if I get in more trouble, I'm going to the last stop. That would be Marion.
Wow.
And Marion is a penitentiary federal institution that's underground.
Oh, my goodness.
They pump sunlight in there. So...
And you said one of them had 90-foot walls?
I'm going to get to that one.
Sorry.
That was Atlanta State Penitentiary. Lewisburg got one, too. If you stand up against the wall, which you don't supposed to get close to, if you look up, the wall is about 90 feet. Those are penitentiaries. See, there's different. There's FCIs and there's penitentiaries. Guys who are in penitentiary, they have a level 6. That's a high level. That means high violence, and it go by the time, too. So after 6 or 7 years passed, I got sent to Atlanta, and I met a guy there. I was hitting on the punching bag, punching on the bag. There was an older guy up in the ring boxing with a guy, and he said, "Hey, youngster, why don't you come over here and go a few rounds with me?" And I said, "Man, you don't want no parts, you too old." But he kept on at me, and I went up there, and I threw a right hand. He ducked it and took my head off.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it hit me so hard I saw little stars. And I don't know.
Not you, the fighter.
No, I saw stars.
But I'm saying not you, the fighter.
Yeah,
so
me the fighter. Me the fighter. A guy 20 years older than me.
Wow.
And I don't know what happened then, but we got real close, and I became to love him like he was my daddy. I don't know, was I looking for that man in my life that I never had, but we got real close, and I loved him. And he gave me my first Bible.
Oh, wow.
He the reason why I read my first Bible. And I really loved him. And a few more years went off, and my level was getting ready to change, and they was getting ready to send me out. And I was on the yard down in Atlanta, and the alarm went off. The Spanish guys was rioting down there, so they ordered everybody back. And if you didn't get back, they hit you with a beanbag in the yard. So I was running back to his cell. And as I came up on the tier, I seen two guys run out of the cell. And I ran to his cell, and I looked in, and he was laid down, covered in blood. And I picked him up, and the only thing he said to me is, "Don't retaliate." And he asked me to promise him that I wouldn't retaliate, no matter what.
And you saw the guys.
Yeah, I knew they was. And I promised him that I wouldn't retaliate.
How long did you have with him?
About 3 or 4 minutes before he died.
But I mean, how long was the relationship?
About 9 years.
9 years,
9
that's
years.
beautiful.
9 years. And then he died. And
The only person you had.
ain't that something? The only man that I considered my father and loved him like a father was taken away from me. And I seen the guys, but I didn't retaliate. You know, they wanted to do something, but they transferred me out. and sent me up to Oxford, Wisconsin. I stayed there for another year or two. And then that's when D.C. prison, they sent all D.C. prisoners back down to Lawton. And when I got down to Lawton, I talked to my counselor, and they said, I'm gonna be going home in the next couple of years because the scale, the conviction scale, the time, it gave me a time cut, me coming back to the D.C. system. So I came back and they sent me over to minimum over there with well, them crazy youngsters was. I said, nah, I'm a little bit too old now. You gotta get me out of here. I've been to throw one of them off a tee or something.
But let's do this. Now you're out, okay?
Yeah, okay.
And you are helping young people.
But I'm still straddling the fence. I'm trying to find a church. I'm going around doing speaking engagement, but I'm looking for a church. So me and my wife, we moved down to Waldorf, and one of our friends took her to this church called Choose Life. And that's where I met Pastor Lewis. And he was doing this recovery ministry for guys. If you have any type of trouble or any type of problem, you go in there and listen and talk it out to each other. But I would go there for months and I wouldn't say nothing. You know, it's like the Lord pushing you and giving you the opportunity, but you're not saying nothing because the devil over here telling you not to say nothing. But as time went on, I opened up and I got to talking. And it must have been something that I was saying with him because he got into me and we became real good friends. And
we're going to wrap it up, but I want you to still, what would you have to say to any young person who may be in the streets now and maybe watching this? What advice would you give them? What was the turning point for you?
The turning point, man, I believe that God put that guy in jail in my path.
That man person.
That man person. Because I was out of control. He put him into my path and told me and gave, and that changed my life around. I made him a promise and I kept my promise. I've been out for a while now and I've been going around helping the guys and letting them know that I know what you're feeling because I went through my first 2 years when I came out, I took every job. But I'm helping them and I'm blessed.
Amen.
I'm truly blessed.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay. The goal of the Clarion Call is prison prevention. We work with you so you never go to jail or prison at all. And we're here for you also when you return to the community. Our guest today had many challenges and trials, but in the end, he's triumphed. He's still working on himself while he reaches out to help others. There are many laws in place that perpetuate incarceration, which is why the United States is the largest incarcerator in the world. And statistics prove that these laws are enforced at much higher rates, often in the African American community. So listen up, my friend, and know for a fact you cannot afford to take the risk. The odds are not in your favor. Consider the consequences and think before you act. That's it for now, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next time, won't you, for the Clarion Call. Until then, I'm Janice Liggins. Blessings to you.